Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. We're joined today by fellow GameXplainer Derek Bidner to discuss all of the recent info for Pokemon X and Pokemon Y, including the new trailer and the image of the world map. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Okay, Derek, so Nintendo showed off, a brand new trailer last week for Pokemon X and Y, which we've, already done a pretty thorough analysis of.
Oh yeah.
So now I just wanted to talk about, our general thoughts of the game, because the trailer didn't show too much that's new, but it still gave us a better idea of how the game's going to work, I think. Especially when combined with the world map image that they revealed.
Yeah, I mean, that world map image was almost more invaluable to us than the trailer itself. I mean, we had all this other side information that had been provided through the Nintendo site and the Korokoro magazine that revealed earlier, and then we got translated for that day. And the trailer itself was kind of okay, but all the other side information is where we got all of our good stuff from, and makes it a lot more interesting.
Well, especially when we were linking, scenes from the trailer to the map,
Yeah, that was interesting. Always trying to figure out what goes where and what might work where, and because as we discussed in the analysis, it's a very different map. I've never quite seen a map like this in Pokemon. Maybe it's because we don't see the routes as easily in this one, where you can easily see the path of progression.
Right.
So that could be it. But looking at it right now, this is the most open map I've ever seen with Pokemon.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like the old artwork for like in the Zelda players guides when they would show you the entire world, but they would draw it by hand,
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of that, where it's like, very, it lends a very, like, open feel to the world. So I guess I'm wondering, I think we discussed a little bit in the analysis. So do you think this is going to be a much more open environment than in the previous games? Especially with Lumia City having, being in the center of the world and apparently, like, branching out into the world, like a hub and spoke model. Kind of like in the analysis I pointed to being like Disneyland. Which, I will tie anything back to Disneyland, when I can, so.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, if you look at the map, you kind of almost seems like those maps that Disneyland gives you when you enter the park.
Right, exactly.
I think it will. I think it's going to be a lot more open. Over the years, they've really decreased the importance of the HMs, which were usually what blocked you from getting one place to the other. And now they have sort of you can't enter because of such and such event, and then you beat the gym leader, and like, okay, you can enter now, and it doesn't require the HM at all.
I think that's a way better method, by the way. But I mean, I haven't really played many Pokemon games besides the first generation, which is why you're so great for these analysis, because you've actually been following them. But I just remember the HMs being kind of a pain to deal with, because it would like, destroy one, it would override one of the moves in, in one of the Pokemon you had on you. And then you had to then you had to deal, I don't know, if you got rid of that Pokemon, you had to reapply the HM. The whole thing was a pain, I found.
Oh, definitely. It's, back in the old days when you had pretty much kept an HM slave around, just like a worthless Pokemon that you put
just
every
load them
HM
up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that'll work, you guys, and then unfortunately when you do have to go into it and use them, you have this weak-ass Pokemon with some terrible moves.
I'm pretty sure, like a level 7, like at the very end of the game, that just had all my HMs on it.
Oh, I hated Victory Road in the first generation because of that.
Oh, because it had all those obstacles, right? That you needed the HMs to get past.
Exactly.
I remember actually playing that level at a friend's. Oh man, this is bringing back memories now. I remember playing through Victory Road like at a friend's house. I think like we were all kind of playing the game at that time. And I just remember like we were all like running into these barriers all the time. It took me a few hours to get through Victory Road, as I recall.
Yeah, because back in the day, I didn't think about using repels, because I'm always for the type of person that's like, I'm going to take out on every fight because that's experience. I don't want to miss out on it.
Exactly.
Not anymore. I'll get through the damn thing and then go back in and run around in circles.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier to me. But yeah, over the years, since you don't realize this, they've definitely decreased the importance of HMs and last gen, one of my favorite upgrades they did was that, you know how in the old games you could only use TMs once. Now you can use TMs as much as you want.
Because I think they did confirm that HMs are back, right? Just that they're still in a reduced role or something.
Nobody's really said HMs are back, but it's pretty obvious, especially with the island up top to the north that you could probably only reach by
swimming,
by surfing,
right.
And unless they have a boat available, because there is that dock area right there at the lighthouse.
Yeah. So speaking of, I guess getting around the whole map. So when we talk about being open, do you think it's still going to consist of basically linear paths, but now you'll have like the choice of which path to take? Like you won't be going, specifically from one location to the next, but you might actually be able to choose maybe where you go, or...
Yeah, I think it's definitely more along those lines. There's no way we're getting something like Ocarina of Time's Overworld, where at the Hyrule Field, where we can just go anywhere we
right.
want. It's going to be, we got that central hub with Lumiose City, and we branch off.
Right.
Now, the tricky part of that is the gym leaders.
Right.
There's a couple methods they can get around this, one of which is actually dynamic levels for the gym leaders.
So basically, yeah, they level up according to what level you are at when you get there.
Exactly, or what level, what order you take on the gyms at. So if you take on the rock gym leader first, when you get to the water gym leader, she'll be a higher level, but if you go in the opposite, the water level will be closer to what you were when you first go there. When you go to the rock, since you now have that badge, it'll be higher.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not expecting them to do that, so I still think it's going to be very much guided in a way, but with the way the map is shaped, it does lead it would be very possible to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely would be, and yeah, I think you might be right that it might still be structured in a kind of linear fashion like the originals, especially because there's still route numbers.
Oh yeah.
So assuming it's still pretty linear, then it sounds like the whole reason for the setup is basically just to keep drawing you back to Lumiose City, because you'll have to cross back through it. It seems like probably throughout the game in order to get to the other routes.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that.
And as a result, you'll know better than I do. I played a little bit of Black, or a little bit of White, I think. And that game had a pretty sizable town by Pokemon standards, which is based after New York, as I recall, which makes sense. But this time we have one, seemingly based after Paris, and it looks gigantic here, from what I can tell.
This is so much larger than the one in Black and White. Black and White looked huge, but it really wasn't that big when you started getting it. They made the size of the city look impressive, but you really only have about 3 or 4 straight roads that would come to a point on the other side where you would just go to the next route. There was no branching paths. It was just you had about 3 or 4 main streets that you could walk down and you could see stuff along the side. So it looked impressive, but it was pretty much structured like any other town.
So do you think,
the grand scheme?
So do you think the size being larger might be kind of annoying? Because I'm looking at a screenshot of it now, and thinking back to the trailer, there's really not, based on what we've seen, there's not a ton to do. We saw a coffee shop, but it doesn't seem like you'll be able to go into all these buildings. So maybe it seems like they're almost just kind of stretching out, how long it'll take to get from one location to the next. How much more can they add that they haven't used in previous games, right?
True. Maybe that's the reason for the rollerblades and the riding is so you can get along quicker. Maybe that's the difference between the bike and the roller skates. You can only use roller skates in the city and bike outside the city. Maybe. No idea.
Yeah, I don't either. But that brings up the question then of what's I was gonna call him Go-Gurt. What's what's the purpose of riding Go-Goat?
I've racked my brain over that one because. They said you can only use them at certain points in the city.
Right.
So, what's the difference? Because when we saw him walk in the trailer, and honestly, we didn't see him get to much faster, but he didn't seem to be going that much faster than your character.
It didn't. Yeah, but maybe you can run with him, and maybe they weren't showing the run function. But yeah,
that's very possible.
But based on what we saw, it didn't seem like he was going very fast. But you had an interesting theory about that, though. I think I forget if we mentioned in the analysis. But you thought it might serve as basically like a key, right? Or allow you to reach other areas you can't.
Yeah, I was saying you have to earn this gym badge in order to get the saddle so you can actually use Go-Goat, and then once you're riding Go-Goat you can go beyond this because you need Go-Goat to do this or this trial or something like that.
Right.
Basically just another form of a blockade so you can't get to the next area.
Right.
That's the only real purpose I can see, other than the fact that, hey, I'm running a Pokemon. Cool.
were you going to call it Gogurt too?
Yes, you got me saying it now. You made so many people want a delicious type Pokemon now. To be honest, we have a few of those with Vanilla Ice.
Wouldn't that be a way better type than a fairy type? So speaking of fairy type Pokemons and well, just new Pokemon in general. We also got our first look at, I believe, 4 new Pokemon.
Yes.
Including one that looks like he's modeled after a panda, which is freaking awesome.
That thing is adorable,
isn't it? It's like the cutest thing ever. Like, I just want want a plushie of him so I can just hold and cuddle him all night, which is probably more I should be revealing.
I think what really tops it off for him is the fact that the leaf in his mouth. So he has that right amount of cuteness and toughness.
Right.
It's a great mix. I love it.
It's kind of like, it's a better mix than what what's that, the starter Pokemon for Black and White, the green guy.
Oh, Snivy.
Yeah, he strikes a better balance than Snivy does. Like, that guy just came across as like.
Well, that's why his fan name was Smugleaf. So.
Oh yeah, he looks very smug. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this guy's he's got a good balance there. But what do you think of the other Pokemon as well? Like, we have that what's it called? Like the Hella lizard?
Helioptile.
Helioptile. Okay, I had so, you know how many times it took me to record that line saying that? I'm like, Helioptile. So hard.
Yeah, it's some of these names that, like, especially since you don't hear them out loud until they're pronounced in the series, you can be a little tricky.
Right.
No, it's another electric Pokemon. He looks a little different. It's interesting that they added him with a normal type. Not quite sure what the purposes of that, other than the fact he's going to be weak to Patchum now.
Right.
But no, he looks cool. It's a nice design. That's the thing I've noticed about all the Pokemon that released so far. There's not a single design I don't like or I outright hate.
Yeah, that is true. I'd agree with that. They all look pretty good, but then you factor in the fact they've shown off not even a 15th of them.
Oh yeah, it's such a small amount.
So,
but still, it's a good start.
So that's true. So, but I wonder if it's like a trailer where they're showing off all the best things in the trailer, and then we're gonna be left with all the dumpy designs afterward. But no, I agree. It is a good starting place. I do like the current designs.
And then I think last we have Fletchling.
Right. That's right.
Which is our new Pidgey type, which we have every generation. Basically the normal flying type that you get early on, and it gets pretty decent as you go on. So it's it's a pretty good mix so far, and I like them.
Now, although she wasn't shown in the trailer, what did you think of Sylveon? Or I mean, rather, we discussed in the analysis that we think Sylveon might be a fairy type Pokemon.
Yes.
Based on a few different ideas. So what are your thoughts? I mean, because this is the first time since when? Like, when was the last time they introduced a brand new type?
Gen 2.
So that's a long time ago.
Yes, this was way back.
So in looking, because I've been looking online and seeing some reactions to this, and some people think, we're all, not just us too, but anyone thinking that fairies might be there are way off base. And some people actually seem to be, like, offended by the entire idea. Of
a fairy type?
Well, I don't know if just fairy type or if it's just a new type in general, but it could be the fairy type. I'm not sure. But some people seem like they are adamantly against this.
Well, people are always kind of against change, and I can sort of understand the trepidation behind it because you're worried about the balance. Mm-hmm. But I think this is being brought in because it does require balance, because it's. I don't know. I like the idea of throwing a new type in there and seeing how things change slightly. And one thing a lot of people are worried about is changing the type of old Pokemon.
Right.
In the case of Clefairy and Jigglypuff, because they were described as fairy type Pokemon.
It's in Clefairy's name, yeah.
Yes. So people are a little worried about that. I have no problem with changing their types. I mean, if we go to Magnemite, he was just a straight electric Pokemon in the original game, but in Gold Silver he got steel and electric, and was actually made kind of better for it, except for the whole being weak to fire thing.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played every game in the Pokemon series. I have no issue at all with this. I think it's a good idea. I don't know why people will be against, reclassifying Pokemon. Who cares if it's, if the canon's not 100% consistent all the time,
Let's be honest, how many people really use Clefairy?
Do you think they'll offer, like, a contextual reason for why these Pokemon are being reclassified, then, as fairies, potentially?
Probably not, because they didn't add contextual reason to Magnemite. It's just, there he is now.
Right.
I mean, and really, that's all the better for it. You can come up with your own explanation. You really don't need an explanation. It's just, that's the way it is now.
Right.
Same reason when you get in new types of Pokemon, like, there are only 150 Pokemon in the world. We swear.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, Pokemon kind of plays loose with its where it stands.
Yeah.
It's status quo is what I'm trying to think of.
Speaking of status quo, it seems like they're mixing things up this time with, as we predicted, allowing you to customize your trainer.
Yes.
Which they outright said. I guess it's not really shown in the trailer, but they outright say that you can do this on the website.
Yes, they didn't show you the process of you actually doing it, but like as we both predicted, the whole standing in front of the mirror, being able to customize yourself.
Right.
There had to be a reason for that mirror, and maybe we're just that good, but we figured it out.
Oh, we are just that good. And modest.
Exactly. We are the most modest people.
So modest.
But no, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I've been wanting to customize my trainer for quite a while now because it's fun to get that little bit of personalization. It always kind of irked me when you go to play online with somebody and you see yourself as your trainer, but they see you as like a kid, a shorts kid or a beauty or a whatever, just one of the standard NPCs.
Right.
So with this small bit of customization, maybe when you challenge each other online now or in the little hubs, you'll actually get to see each other's looks, which awesome. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's a good addition.
They even went one step further than we predicted by being able to change the hair and skin tone of your character.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. So
no, I didn't. That's pretty cool. I think I know a lot of people are very appreciative of that because we got male and female, we got girls and guys being able to play it now, and now we're able to get everybody loves Pokemon, so let's get that range of color in there. Right.
So speaking of loving Pokemon, then, so based on what we've seen so far and what we've learned so far, I guess basically how stoked are you for this game?
I'm pretty freaking stoked. I make no bones about it. I loved X and Y.
You mean Black and White?
Yeah, it sort of revitalized my love of the Pokemon series because I had taken a break after Gen 2. I skipped Gen 3, didn't get back to it until later. Gen 4 sort of got me interested in it again just because I thought I was doing something new. Really didn't impress me as much as I would hope to. I still enjoyed it and loved it. It was Pokemon. I still enjoyed it.
Right.
But Black and White is what revitalized my love for it, and it seems like they're taking all the lessons they learned from Black and White and expanding upon them for X and Y. I cannot wait to play this game.
So is this the most excited you've ever been for a Pokemon game?
Yeah, I'd say so because I never really I paid it for the early games. I was so young, I didn't really pay attention to the pre-release hype. I just knew Pokemon was coming.
Right.
Great. And then I kind of got out of Pokemon for a while, and so I didn't really pay attention. And then I paid a little bit of attention for Black and White, and blew me away. And now I'm actually paying attention for X and Y, and oh yeah. It just seems like they've taken all of the criticisms and requests that people have made over the years, and they're finally integrating them into the game.
So let me ask you this. Is there anything in the trailer or in everything we've learned so far that you are not super sold on? Like anything concerning at all for you? Or
not really.
Okay.
Nothing really. I've not seen anything in there that says, oh, that's not good. There has not been that gut reaction. And let's be honest, Andre, you can sit on benches.
Benches! That is true. You know, I forgot to point that out in the analysis. I figured it was like so obvious, but apparently it's a big deal.
Same thing here. It's so obvious. It's like, why we don't need to point this out. People will see it. People saw it.
And then they're like, why do you point this out?
Same question to you, Andre. I mean, you've been out of Pokemon for a while now. Is X and Y doing anything to maybe get you interested in playing again?
I mean, I like everything they're doing. But you know, it's still basically the same. So I don't know if it's not, you know, it's not really grabbing me. I'll just, you know, I'll be honest, it's not really grabbing me.
Yeah.
You know, I think it does look good, and you know, I'm sure you know, it's very possible I could get sucked back into it. But
I'm going to do my best to do that.
Oh, I know you will.
because right now all I'm hearing is I'm too afraid to battle you.
You know, I think it looks good. I am interested in trying it. I'm not, you know, it's still Pokemon, so I don't know if it can grab me the same way it did when it first came out, which I loved. You know, but then when I played subsequent games, I just kept feeling it was like the same thing over and over. But
there is a little bit of that, but there's always that little spark somehow that always keeps you entertained, or at least Pokemon fans entertained. There has to be, because look how ongoing it still is.
It's a huge franchise.
It has that spark, and they're doing something right. I can't point it out, because I agree with you. It's, you know, it's essentially the same, but a lot of little changes that have built up over the years that make it still great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you, and I'm sure you'll be locked. You'll be like, I'll find you just standing in place at the one booth at E3, or at the one demo at E3 for the entire 3 days, just playing Pokemon.
I gotta, like, I'll talk to the one guy. It's like, keep my team here. I'll put it in the box. When we come back, I'll move on, right? That's cool, right?
Don't delete the save file. I'm gonna come back. All right.
Exactly.
Well, I think that wraps up our discussion on Pokemon X and Y. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure to stay tuned for our other discussions, where we discuss some of the other recent games from the Nintendo Direct that happened recently. So, thanks for watching, and bye.